All right. So Hashem, you wanted me to go home and get my camera. What was this happening? My mind's still like a little like kind of fucked up. Like, what the hell just happened? So, I was just working through Rabbi Zalman's book, Tanya, chapter 51. And we were talking about the nature of the soul, and it actually gave me some really good ideas that I hadn't considered before. And how to like fully unlock the powers of the soul. In relation to Torah study, but also in conjunction with all the things that I've done already over the past years, decades. But yesterday, my mother and I, we went for a walk. I didn't want to go for the walk. And I got into this in last night's video where I go on about like how I don't like to say no when people ask me things. Not that I'm a people pleaser, so far from it. I'm very much not a people pleaser, but when an offer is presented to me, a yes or no offer, I trend to say yes. And the reason for that is not because I'm afraid to say no, but I know that there's a reason for it. See, people pleasing only exists in a universe where there is no God, but being that there's God, I can't people please because I don't like pleasing people. Necessarily. Not for the sake of like, I'm not into the whole idea that submissive shit where well, I have to say yes because I don't want people not to like me. I don't give a shit. Trust me, I'm one of those people where I prefer that you don't like me than you do like me. Listen, I like the idea of being liked. I like the idea of being admired. I like the idea of being glorified. I have a fucking ego that's as big as the sun. Bigger than the sun. The sun looks like a fucking dwarf star next to the size of my ego. This I know for a fact. Fucking idiot. I'm a Leo. Duh. That motherfucker. I don't dislike cops. I don't dislike officers of the law. But I don't know, I just saw this dude sitting over there before. And now he's in the parking lot with his lights all flashing. I don't know. But then again, there are people that drive around here like assholes and probably deserve it. Sorry, officer. Yeah, so right now we're walking back to the bank because I got a withdrawal. I got to withdraw $2.50 because while I was transcribing chapter 51 of Tanya, I had this thought. You put a thought in my head. Go check your bank account because you should have enough money for a pack of cigarettes. Now, mind you, I don't have enough money in my bank account to get a pack of cigarettes. But the thought that you put in my mind was, because of that $1 bill that I found lying on the ground yesterday, while on the walk with my mother, which I wouldn't have found had I not gone for that walk with her, but because of that walk that we went on and because I found that $1 bill, if I go check my bank account, I'll have just enough money to afford a pack of cigarettes. And I'll be that dude that came in to take a withdrawal for $2.50. That should be cool. But I got all the way over here, I found out that there literally was $2.50 in my account. I'm like, whoa, holy shit, I wasn't even expecting to find $1. But you told me I would have enough, and you're right. So the cigarettes I buy, technically they're cigars. So they're not cigarettes per se. I'm gonna start reading again. what happened last night too. All right, so there's no minimum, right? Minimum.
No, you just want to keep $1 at least or something in there, because if it sits at 0 for more than 30 days, the account will automatically close.
Okay.
So
Well, it's probably going to bring it under $1, but
as long as you have something.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You already know.
So I only filled out what made sense to me.
I got you that. Depends. I don't know if we would.
And then I want to give you this too. Right?
Yeah.
Does
They should all their years. I can see it.
does this help you at all or no?
It does. We're going to get your passport?
Yeah.
Just because I don't know you.
Oh. Got to get that. I need a friggin' thing. There you go.
Hi, Debbie. It's Nicole of Lancaster. How are you doing today? Good. Since there is a prescription check for $16,600, we don't have it at the moment. Do you guys happen to? Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Bye. I don't have it either. Only thing, I could recommend is we could open an account for you and deposit it, and once check goes, you can be able to order the cash for it. Otherwise, you have to put it.
Yeah, you would get an electronic debit card, you'd be able to start using it right away. It would be available right away. But I can make sure I have it on Tuesday.
So Roy would need your ID, you have that, and this is your current address?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so it's over.
Need my work ID too, or no? Need my social?
Roy's gonna need it, so let me.
I need a campaign to keep my real ID.
So when you guys came in, you replaced the whole staff, right?
No, not at all. I've been here since Republic. I've always been here.
Really?
Elena, Karen.
We have 4 people from Republic and 3 from Fulton.
Ah, okay. This is my first time being in here since the changeover, so.
Oh, okay. So you probably knew Angela that's out here and Kenny that's out there.
Yeah.
I sit in the desk normally.
Ah, no.
Yeah.
But I don't remember your face.
But yeah, I've been in this office 2 years.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, I think for the past couple of years, I've been really good at maintaining at least like a 28-cent balance. I was thinking about it this morning, like there's too much money in there. I gotta. Yeah, I was just looking over. I saw that the cash thing's gone, the change thing's gone,
Yeah,
replaced by
Republic
coffee,
got
which
rid of
is
that last year.
yeah. Coffee makes more sense anyway.
Two ones, or you want a $2 bill?
I'll go with two singles. I wouldn't want to waste the $2 bill.
conversation. It's all good.
I know, but I have a thing where I don't like spending them.
Okay, not a problem. You get a receipt for your card, and we'll have you on your way.
Come on. Love it.
And I gave you your passport back. Right,
Yes, ma'am.
bud? All right. Very good. Great. You're all set, sir.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
You too. Oh, man. Alright, so that was fucking awesome. Why? Why could I get off on weird shit like that? And that was probably one of the weirder things. Because when I woke up this morning, I wasn't necessarily expecting to come to my bank to withdraw $2.50. Now the fucked up thing is, I owe this fucking dude. Hopefully he's cool. Hopefully he's cool. Meaning that he doesn't bust my balls about the 30 cents that I owe him. And if he isn't cool about the 30 cents I owe him, that I at least have enough to knock off some of it, because we got $3.50. One pack should run me, let's say 6 cents of the dollar, 18, 17 cents. So technically I might have enough. This $2, holy shit, Hashem. But it's also raining, so. Wow. I'm just trying to see how this fucking works out. This is gonna be a this. I felt like I needed to record this because of the fact that it seems so just ridiculous. Who the fuck's getting cigarettes for $3 a pack? And yo, these things ain't bad. I ain't gonna lie, not only are they not bad, but they don't get your fucking fingers all fucked up. Talk like a big boy. They don't stain your fingernails like regular cigarettes do. Are they as satisfying and or addicting as regular cigarettes? I get off on them. I enjoy them very much. The only thing is about them that I would complain about, which is really not even a complaint, is sometimes I gotta really what's it called? Suck. Gotta suck on it really hard sometimes. It's not like smoking a light cigarette, but it's not like smoking a Newport. So a long time ago, I'm remembering that. I forgot all about that. Thank you, Hashem. A long time ago, long time ago, I wanted to quit smoking, and I remember thinking in my head, I had never heard of them before, but I was thinking about if there was any kind of potential smoking alternative that could help me quit smoking, because it was one of the things that I've always wanted to stop doing, smoking. I have tried to quit smoking so many times, and you know what's funny is I don't smoke anymore. I'm not a smoker. It's plant medicine. Cigarettes, cigars like the ones that we're about to get. This is all plant medicine. It's not an addictive habit. It's actually a healthy medicine. So weird. I mean, it's not weird. And okay, maybe that's the point. I have to get out of this whole thing. This mindset of, oh, this is weird. It's not weird. This type of shit, it happens every day. Not always to this extent, finding $1, and it just happens to be that I needed $1 in order to fulfill the amount of money that I needed in order to get one pack of my cigarettes, and potentially more than likely fulfill my obligation to the man who allowed me, who I owe 30 cents to. I take that debt very seriously. This man is very good to me. And he lets me bend the rules in his store more than once. So when I owe him 30, 40 cents, I make sure I get him his fucking 30, 40 cents. The last guy that ran this spot, he gave me a whole pack of cigarettes. I asked him for a cigarette. I was asking him personally for a cigarette. But he ended up giving me a pack. And I felt bad. I told him, I'm like, yo, I ain't got no money. Oh, just pay me back tomorrow. I ain't gonna have money tomorrow. Well, you pay me back soon. I don't know when soon is. Don't even put that, like, I never even gave him that money. And then the next thing I know, the guy's not even there anymore. But then my boy over here now, is he even here? Shit. I hope so. Ah, oh, shit, they're not even open yet. What the fuck? Mother bitch. Mother bitch. 9:45. Nigga, when the hell are you open goddamn store? Shit. Fuck it. We're gonna go for a fucking walk then, I guess. Yeah, I don't feel like walking back to the house and walking back again. It's kind of, I thought you said it was raining. It's not, it's like drip drop. It ain't shit. I'm so excited. So we found the dollar yesterday on the walk. And I remember even thinking, like, this is gonna come in handy one of these days. Because nothing happens on accident like that. That dollar was exactly where I needed it to be because of what I was gonna do with it. And you know, I'm talking crazy last night, like I was gonna fucking burn this motherfucker. You know, I'm being reminded. I was watching clips of Mass Effect 3 last night. The video game Mass Effect 3. It came out a long time ago, but if you know, you know. But I remember. But there was the scenes I was watching were talking about how the Reapers saw Shepard as a threat. And I remember in the older games, well, I mean, I remember while I was playing them, the Reapers always made like a big deal about Shepard and how they wanted to collect his data and study his DNA. And I was thinking about this, and I could never figure it out. Like, what the hell's so special about Shepard? And last night, it dawned on me what it is. The problem, and it takes place in one of the DLCs, which I never played, but there's a DLC that came out that explains the origins of the Reapers and links them back to this even more ancient race. So while Shepard's talking to one of them, it said the entity Leviathan. It ultimately says to Shepard, is like, yo, don't worry about the war. We're gonna hold on to you and keep you as a pet, and then we're gonna study your mind. And I understand why. And it kind of just dawned on me, like, oh no shit, that's literally why the Reapers wanted to fucking dissect him too. is because Shepard, the anomaly, they call him anomaly, because he actually can believe that they can win, which is a problem. Which is a problem for the Reapers. Because if he believes that they can ultimately defeat this foe, then they can do it. And they've never actually went up against opposition like that. I'm being reminded of the Avengers, Infinity Wars, where Doctor Strange is meditating and he's trying to find the one probability. He's streaming the probability chain and trying to find the one potential possible outcome where they could defeat Thanos. And I think he said there's one out of 1 trillion different scenarios that could play out, and only one of them is where they defeat Thanos. But in order to defeat Thanos, they have to first lose to Thanos, and then what's the other one? There's the Infinity Wars where Thanos wins, right? He gets the finger snap, and then it's Endgame that they retcon everything, that they go back in time and redo, or the multiverse where they go into the multiverse to kind of fuck everything up. Right? I think that's how it plays out. I think that's the order of operations. But the reason that Doctor Strange was able to do that was because he had the time gem. And he was able to stream through all the different timelines until he can find the one magical timeline that showed where they win. And in order for them to win, he had to give the time gem over to Thanos, which nobody realizes at the time. It's pretty ingenious. Because, and you know what, this actually goes back to a video that we did some time ago. Hold on. It was during the Count of Omer. It was an Omer count video, specifically dealing with, it might have been, not Hased. Endurance. Discipline. Yeah. It was during the week of Gevurah. It was actually one of the first videos that we did. I think it might have been the first video that we did after Mrs. Kim suggested that we do a video instead of a big long ass post for Omer. And in that video, we were, talking about probabilities? Letting go. Stop fighting the darkness. That's what it was. Because we were talking about the idea of the futility of fighting the darkness. It's not your job to fight the darkness. It's your job to let the darkness win, and then God opens the way. And then God opens the way to defeat the dark, because only God can defeat the darkness. You're just a little human. You don't have it in you. You don't know what you're doing. And it's not even about defeating the darkness. That's a whole other thing. And even Rabbi Zolman gets into this, and it drives me nuts because he's constantly talking about being at like an eternal war with the darkness inside of yourself, but you can't. Because God is light and dark. So if you're at war with the darkness, you're at war with God, and you're fighting a losing battle. There's no such thing as extinguishing the darkness. Well, I mean, there is and there isn't. There's a way, there's a means, and we're working on that right now. So, in order for the darkness to be exterminated, it needs to be put into a container. Like a vessel. So that's what I'm doing. That's part of my job. Because I'm light and dark. I can flip on both sides. So what we're doing is essentially returning godliness to everything in the universe. Everything on earth is godly. You don't know this yet, but everybody is moral. One person's immorality is another person's morality. So to say that someone is any more or less moral than you is not just wrong, but ignorant. But that's all right, because your ignorance is strength. The less you know, the more strength we have over you. Your freedom, what you see as freedom, we see as slavery. What you see as ignorance, we see as strength. What you see as war, we see as peace. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the principles of what you're... In INGSOC from 1984, by being able to see, it's not double speak. It's just that the government, Big Brother, just sees things from a different perspective as you. And the intention of INGSOC is to teach you how to shift your perspective, how to see one thing in two ways. But the reality is that you can see one thing in an infinite number of ways. It's just how limited your own particular. How does Rabbi Zalman say it? To each his own capacity. To each to his own capacity. So you can't see, understand, hear, or involve yourself in anything that is beyond your own capacity to understand. You can't see further than what you were created to see. You know what I mean? So the idea would be, at least from Rabbi Zalman's perspective, the way I'm gathering it, and I'm not saying that he's necessarily 100% right, but I also don't think he's wrong. From a perspective, there's keys there. I don't necessarily think he's wrong, especially when it comes to the non-Jewish perspective. But, well, that's because I'm a firm believer that Jews have more potential than non-Jews. Because we were created that way. But that's because God gave us Torah. That's our eternal inheritance. That's the one thing that's always going to keep us ahead of the game. It's not saying that nobody else can reach the same potential as a Jew, but just like even the Christian doctrine say the same thing, that Jews will always be ahead of the game. And there's nothing you can do about it. The Jew will always be ahead of the Gentile. Even if the Gentile is a Christian, right? A God-fearing Christian. Paul said it himself, like, you guys are always going to be at the back of the line. Just be glad you're even in the line in the first place, because you don't have to be here. The only reason that you're here is because nobody else was coming to the party and we needed to fill these seats up. And that's what Paul says. It's in the book of Romans. Hey, nobody, God doesn't owe you shit. The only people that God owes anything to are the Jews. There's no such thing as equality. It's not like one Jew is equal to one Christian, one Catholic. No. Absolutely not. God forbid. But here's the thing is that and this is really important for Jews, and this is something that I can speak with authority on, is we have to be willing to bow down to Jesus. It doesn't mean that you have to, you just have to be willing to do it. And respecting the authority of the man. That's what it is. You have to be willing to respect the authority of the man. It doesn't necessarily mean to worship him, God forbid, but it does mean to recognize the authority in that man's teachings, in his perspective, in his phase in the evolution of the Jewish soul. And yeah, I would wash his feet. I go to the Catholic Church sometimes. I went to Easter Vigil. My mother's a Catholic. My father was a Hebrew Italian. Italian Hebrew. Italian Israelite? What's that called? An Italian Israelite. That's what my father was. So you tell me I'm allowed to call myself a Jew because by rights, when we follow Jewish law, when we even look at the Talmud, and in conjunction with Torah, no, I got it. I'm good. Don't worry about me. Ultra unorthodox. I'm the only one of my kind. I'm literally the only ultra unorthodox Jew. And it's not like we're accepting applications or that we're recruiting or anything like that. No, it doesn't work like that. I literally, God, you tell me that my inheritance as a Jew is my own nation of Jew. And I'm a Jew just like all the other Jews. It's just that I have my exceptions, just like they have their own exceptions. Just like the Orthodox branch, like there's overlap between ultra unorthodox and ultra orthodox. Like we have overlap. You study Chabad? I study Chabad. Not only do I study it, I understand it too. So if you're familiar with chapter 51, then you know that that the soul itself is amorphous, despite the fact that it's linked to the 218 internal organs. That doesn't necessarily mean that the soul is in the shape of the body, God forbid. But rather that the soul gives the organs the vitality that it needs. And when I'm talking about the soul, I'm talking about the layers of the soul. Because obviously the blood is what fuels the organs, the physical organs, but then contained within the blood is the nefesh, which is the vivifying soul, the animal soul. And then once we go into the vivifying soul and we get into the layers, the faculties of thought, speech, and action, which, due to the nature of the nefesh and the animal soul, it is always going to be drawn to the dark side, because that's what it is. It has it's more, and we say the dark side, in the sense, the material world, Egypt. Now, Jew and Egyptian magic, they're hardcore. They go together. They mesh really well. But you need to link. You need a glue to bind them, and that would be the Norse Germanic magics. And the reason for that is that when Hashem revealed the runes. When Hashem revealed the runes to Odin, that particular alphabet, that's the alphabet of the Nefesh. Where Hebrew is the alphabet of the Neshama, Elder Futhark is the alphabet of the Nefesh, which we went over yesterday. In one of those videos, I don't know which one. You have to like go looking for it. So, how you doing, my friend? I'm gonna see if this motherfucker's open yet. I love this song. What song is it? It's Amanda Trainer. Me too. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. The only person I envy is me. Why? Because why the fuck would I want to be anybody else? I've always been like that. I've never necessarily. I'm trying to think. If there was anyone that I ever envied and wanted to be like, especially growing up, it was always someone from a movie or a video game. I'm not impressed by people. Like, I'd envy the Emperor, Luke Skywalker, Jen from the Black Crystal, from the Dark Crystal. Like, I don't necessarily think in terms of like stuff. I got this car, I got this job. I know. I mean, there was times where I did. I'm thinking back to my old life, and it's not that I wanted what other people had, but I wanted to be in that position because I saw how people are different. People are different for people who have things. Like my old boss, Frank. He didn't have much of a personality. He wasn't intelligent. He was a savvy businessman. He was a shrewd businessman. And he was good at what he did. He was good in his industry. But so was all the working that job, because we were in the commercial vehicle wrap industry. So the position that I held at the company, I was second in command to Frank. And, you know, in that position, under him, it always troubled me. Not troubled me, but I wanted to be in that position where people seem to respect him. His friends, with the monies and the things. And I don't know what it was. Like, I really don't know. Because when I think about it, when I look back on it now, I had all that stuff. I had all the same shit. I didn't have a boat. I did want the boat. Why? Boat life. Boat life is badass. Why would you not want a boat? I can see why people wouldn't want a boat, but why would I want a boat? Because it fucking looks cool. Because you go exploring. That's why it looks cool. Because I don't see that as like I don't see that as a posh. I don't see that as a posh thing. Or decadent. Why, nigga wants a boat, you nigga get a boat. And I wouldn't say that it's a lady. It looks like lady arms. I was right. I wouldn't say that I was ever jealous, but I also don't want to say that I wasn't either, because I'm sure that there was a part of me that was. Oh, that reminds me. That's what I wanted to do today with this video. But then you got me all distracted with the cigarette money. What did I want to do today? I wanted to exploit my weaknesses. So I woke up this morning, and don't worry, I'm sure this will all wrap up with a nice pretty bow, but I woke up this morning and I've been saying over this past week, these videos that I've done this whole week, which you're not going to see them until the end, of this week. I'm uploading them, but I'm not publishing them for the sake of humility. Which reminds me, today is day 6 of the Count of Omer, the Yesod of Hud, the integration, the bonding of humility. So Rabbi Simon Jacobson has a tendency of writing his tiny theses on his perspective of the Omer count. And what happened to me last week during last week's count, week 4, the week of Netzach, once we got to the Yesod of Netzach, the bonding of endurance, the bondings of strength, I started to recognize immediately. Remember I was saying before, to try to tie everything together, war is peace, strength is ignorance, and slavery is freedom. Insak. I know I said it backwards, but freedom is slavery, slavery is freedom. Freedom is slavery, slavery is freedom. War is peace, peace is war. Ignorance is strength, strength is ignorance. And Ingsak, 1984. You ever read 1984, the book? No? I was going to. I've been wanting to. All right. Well, it's too late now. Don't even worry about it. You're late to the party. The book has been out. The book was published in like 1948. Don't even bother. Don't even waste your time. Because it's probably going to go over your head. It's probably going to go over your head, or you're not going to want to read it because of how it reflects back to you your own life. It's fucked up. But I lost it. I got it back. Weakness. Bonding. So the idea is to be able to look at one thing from multiple perspectives. Because first we have a perception of something. It either is or is not, right? So bonding is this or it's not that. Or because it is this, it can't be that. Because one thing can't be two things at the same time, which isn't true, but just for the sake of human simplicity, convenience, right? That rule's only true when it's convenient. One thing can't be two things at the same time unless it's convenient, right? Like for instance, we were talking about Rabbi Jesus, Yeshua Rabbeinu. He's not the Messiah, but he was a Jew. All right? Then when we go to some of the deeper teaching, well, not even some of the surface level teachings of Chabad, when one Jew stumbles, we all falter. When one Jew falls, we all stumble. So never kick a fellow Jew while he's down. Unless he's Rabbi Jesus, Yeshua Rabbeinu. Then feel free to kick that motherfucker left, right, up, down, all day, day. Then it's okay. Not that all Jews do it, I know. There are some within the congregation that don't recognize him as the Messiah. I'm one of them. But respect his teachings. Now, on the flip side, I said I don't see him as the Messiah. I see him as a Messiah. So that's a whole other school of thought. You see, because as we learn in the Quran, or just from common sense, when you study Torah, I was actually happy to see that the Quran reflected this back at me, because I have written about this in the past. And It's wise to not look at the New Testament as literal at first. But it's wise to read Torah as literal. Because if you can do the literal and then recognize the metaphorical, allegorical, then it actually makes more sense. It makes more sense in the sense that it's easier to relate to. Multiple times, Yeshua Rabbeinu, he says, you got to believe in me. If you believe in me, blah, 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 blah. Which is good. He doesn't say, though, you have to believe in me literally. You don't have to believe in the literal components. Because if you can convert the literal into allegorical and find the intrinsic, why do I want to use that word? Intrinsic? If you can find the value of what's taking place in the New Testament in terms of metaphors, that's still believing it. Like, oh yeah, walking on water is really simple. If you understand the concept of it and how it's demonstrating that it's just simply saying that he was able to rise above the emotional manipulations of other people. The emotional machinations? Is that a way of saying it, Shem? I mean, it helps if you understand the concept of water being representative, mystical water being representative of the emotional state, the subconscious, the deeper levels of the soul, the deeper levels of the individual, right? And that Jesus was walking on water, especially when we look at it from an emotional perspective. He had an incredibly advanced range of emotional control. And just like when he was able to command the storm, right? The storm within himself. Because you got to take into consideration all the shit that man was going through. Dealing with the people he had to deal with all day, every day. Like, he wasn't immune. He wasn't immune to like being pissed off, having emotional flare-ups, but he was able to control them.
Simple. The easy bookings, the fast online check-in, so you can skip the counter and go straight to your car.
In a way that was essentially a human. How you doing, my friend? One pack of the yellow, please. I'm gonna get into this, but at least we got it. So what's the total on it?
320.
320. All right, perfect. This should cover the 35 cents I owe you too.
Well, people.
All right, cool. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Hashem. And let's thank God, because God gave me that extra $1 that one boy is a Muslim. That's why I can say shit like that. I can say whatever I want to whatever I want. Don't worry about it. Thank you, Hashem.
Yeah.
Molesty. You could see from the look on his face, the shit-eating grin on his face. My father used to call this a shit-eating grin. Thank you, Hashem. Oh my God. Thank you, Hashem. Each one of these cigarettes is an offering up to you, my Lord. So normally I would get the green, which are menthol, but I'm learning to appreciate these yellow ones, which are vanilla. They make my lips taste good. I have this dirty fantasy of smoking one of these and then kissing a lady and seeing what she says. So Rabbi Jesus, right, emotional control, because that's ultimately what Torah is all about. It's about self-mastery. I don't know what people think, like where this religious stuff comes from. I know there's a religious aspect to it, but see, Jews don't recruit. Christians recruit, but that's because their religion is like all fucked up. It is too. It is too. There's this myth. There's this myth that that Catholicism and Judaism are similar to each other. It's not. That's not true. That's very much not true. The only thing that makes them similar, well, I mean, yeah, okay. Right, they both acknowledge the 10 Commandments. There you go. But we, Jews, we follow all the commandments, not just the first 10. And our work, our duty is to refine ourselves, to refine the living soul, to refine the soul while it's still in the body. So Judaism, so there's people, that's actually not a bad idea. So I was going to say the equation, but it's not. That correlative, the correspondence that people have between, or the contrary. People like to point out the contrary nature between religion and spirituality. Well, Judaism, Torah bridges the gap between religion and spirituality, because Torah is the ultimate self-help book. There's an old rabbinical saying, and I remember this from way back, is that Torah answers every question. Any question you can have, Torah will answer it. Did you know that Torah is the first science book? The first human genome project is laid out in Torah. Well, you have to read it to understand it, because it lays it all out. Of all the genetic lines, of all the genetic strains of human, Torah only focuses on one very specific one. God's chosen genetic strain. It's not just God's chosen people, it's God's, literally, the chosen genetic strain. I know, like, social justice, right? Social justice is against saying that one set of genetics is better than another, but that's not true. But even the laws, even the law of Torah, the 613 commandments, 248 positive, 365 negative. The 248 correspond with the 248 organs of the body. The 365 How does Rabbi Zalman? He says the 365 correspond with the veins, the veins through which the blood flows. That makes sense. Blood flows to the organs. I'd have to look into that to see if there's actually 365. But then again, we're not looking at it from the medical perspective. I mean, we are. I'd have to see exactly what he's talking about so that I can get a better understanding of it, but that's all of it. Well, that would make sense because the 365, if they're connected with the veins through which the blood flows and the vivifying animal soul is encapsulated within the blood. And that aspect of the soul is attached to the physical realm. That's the part of the soul that leads us to transgress. The trick is to learn how to utilize the 365 negative commandments and turn them into positive commandments, which isn't easy. Because essentially what we're trying to do is brain fuck sin to brain fuck it hard enough to find the positive aspects that are encoded within it. Because it's the job of the Jew to make the world a godly place, but in order to make the world a godly place, you have to find God within everything, which includes bad stuff. Or quote bad stuff, and evil stuff. To find the inherent goodness within evil. And it's a little bit of a contradiction. So being a Jew is more than just lighting Shabbat candles. Shabbat Shalom, by the way, my Lord. Shabbat Shalom. Weren't you not supposed to do anything on Shabbat? Well, yeah, but Rabbi Jesus, the Lord of the Sabbath, he taught man was created for the Sabbath, or Sabbath was created for the man, not the man for the Sabbath, and it's more of a sin to not help someone just because it's Shabbat. Than it is to transgress the law of Sabbath, which is you're not allowed to do anything. But that's why he was so adamant about breaking the law, to show that there's exceptions. There's exceptions to every rule, which is Which is where things get really confusing, because if you just focus on the religious aspect of everything, I remember her. Both smoke in her face. That was the girl that was running behind me. I didn't realize until she passed me. They had a small fortune. If I was a rich man. All day long I'd biddy bong. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work hard. Oh, if I were a very, very rich, if diddle man. Roofs like a dozen in the middle of the town. Roof, wooden floors below. I don't know the words. Staircase just going up and one going down. Nowhere, just for show. Well, if I were a rich man from Fiddler on the Roof, it's playing. And what it's demonstrating, thank you, Hashem, what it's demonstrating is the decadent nature of the Jew. If I were a rich man, I'd be indulging in all the shit. That's why I can't be a rich man. I never saw the movie, but I'm assuming that's kind of the lesson that's being portrayed. I know if I was a rich man, I'd be doing a lot of shit, but maybe not necessarily the right things, because if we listen to the lyrics of the song, he doesn't ever once talk about glorifying God with his riches. He's just talking about with the shit that he would do. Get his wife all fat. Get his wife all fat from eating stuff. And she'd be a bitch to all of her servants. Living a very decadent life. With a proper double chin. So, Rabbi Jesus, Yeshua Rabbeinu, helps us bridge that gap between spirituality and religion. Because just like any other spiritual practice that's about going inwards and refining yourself, this is about refining the inner self, the higher self, becoming more in touch with the higher self, and connecting with that godly aspect of the self, and serving as God's representative on earth. Not just for your own glorification, because one, as we learn in Shar HaBitachon, the Hasidic classic, we don't glorify ourselves. We're not supposed to be glorifying ourselves. We're supposed to be glorifying God. And in doing so, if we want to limit him down to saying he, which we know that God is beyond gender, we just say he because we're personifying God. What's the right word, my lord? Anthropomorphizing? He's just as much of a she as she is a he. So, or an it, they. And they doesn't mean that God is more than one, because God is one. But some people can't. Some people need to see God as a multiple branching entity. Do I, like, am I, I don't know if I feel comfortable, like, getting into what God is and what God isn't, because you're infinite. In that the only limit that you have is that there are no limits. So to say that you can't be something, that's us putting a limit on you. And that's putting a limit on God, and God's without limit. God. Which God? This is God. You know what I'm talking about. The creator of the universe. The God of gods. The God that even lowercase g gods bow down to. But I was saying earlier, before we went on this tangent, I woke up this morning and I've been staying off of Facebook, and I haven't been posting these videos. I haven't been making them public, at least. Not until we get past the week of HUD, the week of humility. And then I mentioned how today is the Yesod of HUD, the integration, the bonding of humility. And this entire week, each day is one of the 7 aspects of humility. The love of humility, the discipline of humility, the compassion of humility, the endurance of humility, the humility of humility, the bonding / integration of humility, and the actualization, the dignity of humility. So that's tomorrow, though. Today's the bonding. And so Rabbi Jacobson, as I was getting into it earlier, before I got taken away, and I said, well, don't worry, we'll come back around. So last week, during the Yesod of Netzach, the bonding of endurance, is when I started to recognize bonding. He's talking about the bonding of a relationship, and which is true. The role of the Jew and the role of the Count of Omer is, one, to help us refine ourselves, but also to refine the relationship that we have with God. And which is fine and good, but that's a little bit more of an advanced technique. If you can't, like Rabbi Jesus said, the way to the Father is through me. Where's me? He's not necessarily saying through me, Rabbi Jesus, but he is and he isn't. Me, you find me when you stare in the mirror. If you can't find me in the mirror, then use me as the example for yourself. See, it wasn't the issue that Jews have with Yeshua Rabbeinu isn't with Rabbi Jesus himself. It's with his sycophants that made a religion out of, made an idol out of him. That's the problem. And then attempting to force us to convert, which, trust me, I'm very well aware of that. I'm familiar with it. One of my issues going with my mother to church sometimes, because I will go with her, is I've noticed that people have tried to recruit me a couple times. And it's like, whoa, hold the fuck up. Hold the fuck up. Even the priest, well, you know, Catholicism is the closest religion to Judaism. All right, that's fine. But you're not doing the same shit that I'm doing. I'm doing a lot more than you guys are. He's over there right now conducting a sermon, asking for money, and touching on small little snippets of convenient verses, Bible verses. But I was saying this to my mother the other day. she was breaking out her prayer book and showing me some things. And I said, well, see right there. See, I was just showing, it says Psalms 119. And it's only got one paragraph. I said, you're just getting that snippet. But the book of Psalms, that's King David's personal journal. Where that man is like pouring his heart out. And to really get the most out of Psalms is not using it as a prayer guide. It's a fucking empathize with the man as he's calling on God to fucking help him from the fucking vultures. The vultures that are surrounding him. Connecting with the soul. So, with last week's HUD of Netzach, it dawned on me out here how, as we work our way through the Midot throughout the week, each week of the Count of Omer, we're refining those qualities within ourselves to refine the relationship that we have with ourselves, which in turn refines our relationship with God. But it's through the integration of what we're learning that we can bring it into actualization, which is what we're supposed to be doing. Embodying those master level emotional qualities. And that's what that I believe is the ultimate purpose of the Count of Omer, is to level up our emotional intelligence so that when we get to Shabbat and the receiving of the Torah, we can more, what's the right word I'm looking for? Just say what's in your head. So we can more fluently embody the Torah. So what I'm seeing in my mind is chapter 51 from Children of Dune. I think it's chapter 51 in Dune, where Leto the Second, is it that girl again? This is 3 times the charm. No, 3rd time's the pattern. So, if you know, you know. If not, you don't. Then I would recommend like getting into Dune, because Dune is some heavy shit. Especially if you're a Jew and you can make those correspondences between what's going on in Dune and the rise of Mashiach. Because ultimately, Muad'Dib is Mashiach ben Yosef, and Leto is Mashiach ben David. If you can see it. The only thing missing from Dune is Torah. That's the only thing. Because we learn early on that Leto is a descendant of Abraham. Which is also important to note, that the whole Dune universe is the actualization of your promise to Abraham, where his children will be as numerous as the stars. But I'm talking specifically about where young Leto gets the idea to start wearing the sand trout and how they enhance his abilities, similar to Which is ironic. It's interesting because it's similar to what happens in the second book of the Darth Bane trilogy, where Darth Bane comes into contact with the Orbalisks. If you know, you know. He allows the parasites to attach themselves to him and serve as living armor. Because the pain and the toxins that they put into his body, it enhances his dark side abilities. So in a sense, the sand trout of Children of Dune are doing the same thing to Leto. The exact same thing. Now I don't know what happens after. I've never gotten this far in Dune. This is my first time getting here, so no spoilers. But I know ultimately Leto turns into some human Shai Hulud hybrid and becomes a God Emperor. And when I was reading that portion, that chapter, it got me thinking about Torah and how we're doing the same thing with Torah. Because Torah is a living entity. It's not just a book. The soul of Torah consciousness, that's the Mashiach consciousness right there. Like even people who talk about like Christ consciousness, I don't know what they're talking about. Because in order to understand Christ consciousness, you have to understand Torah consciousness, because Rabbi Jesus was a Torah scholar, and if you don't study Torah, then I don't understand what you're doing, what that even means. What does that mean, Christ consciousness? Mashiach consciousness. Christ consciousness is Mashiach consciousness, but that's a Jew thing. I want to be like Jesus. Well, what does that mean? Like you're willing to get fucking strung up on a cross and emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically beaten down? Like what? I don't understand what that means. And then allow all that to happen, but then take it like a champion and go, give me more. Because Rabbi Jesus was a fucking animal. I was saying to my mom once, we were at the church, and I said to her, you know, the reason I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that the reason that you and Carmela and women just in general are like so in love with Rabbi Jesus is because he's a fucking man. And I'm not defining man just by the fact that he has dick and balls, but I'm talking about like, he had balls. He didn't roll over. And when I said that to her, I saw her eyes light up. Because when I look at the other men in my life, and I've done this ever since I was a kid. Ever since I was a kid, I look at the men in my life and just go, what? These guys are pussies. And it is what it is. But that kind of relates back to what happened to me this morning. So instead of checking Facebook every morning, what I've been doing, I've been going on YouTube. I open up YouTube, and there was a video in my feed. There's a video in my feed that was like it was fucking perfect, and it shouldn't have come up technically, but you're in control of the algorithm. I know that. And I understood why I needed to see that video. And it was this pretty lady. And the title of the video was like calling in or activating the God King. And I knew what that meant. But I thought it was a video geared towards men, but it wasn't. It was a video geared towards women. It was a video geared towards women, a spiritual commercial, basically. Basically, the woman was doing a commercial for one of her classes, which was God King activations for women, meaning that the activations that she was going to be teaching are to help women get into that spiritual state, that mental and emotional state, where they can attract in their version of the God King. Not just like a regular dude, not just like some regular schlep who's gonna roll over every time someone with more money come strolling along. And I remember thinking, oh, they're not looking for a God. These women aren't trying to manifest a God king. They're trying to manifest a Jew. they're trying to manifest a Mashiach. Every woman needs a Mashiach. But when I was listening to what she was saying and how she was explaining this quote God king man, I went, yeah, I know exactly what she's talking about. Because this is all the work I've been doing. That's what even drew me to. So in Chabad, we have a monthly / daily study cycle pertaining to Psalms. Now, earlier last year, I was trying to learn to better understand that kind of consciousness, the king consciousness. Because I started reading The Secret Doctrine by Helena Blavatsky. No, it was the Isis Revealed. And she kind of touches on the consciousness of the king. And that put me on this search for a book. And I found this book by this guy, Johnny Manaz, I think his name was. And it was all about tapping into your inner king. But while I was reading it, and the only reason I even took the interest in the book was because his last name, Manaz, is a reference to one of the 24 Elder Futhark runes of the Germanic gods, of the Norse gods. Because as we all know, Elder Futhark is the alphabet that you revealed to Odin after he hung himself from the world tree. Let me see if I can find Odin. We didn't pass him yet. So I got into this in yesterday's video where back in 2021 I started learning about I was initiated into the runic arts by way of divine guidance. And one day I used to come back here and look for runes in the shadows. So I would just walk around on sunny days and look for any place where the way the trees lined up or the way the configurations of the shadows fell on the ground that I could see runes. And I would. There was times, lots of times. I mean, when you go looking for something, you're going to find it. So what I ended up doing was I'd find the shapes and forms of the runes in shadows. And I would just walk around just looking for them. So one day I wanted to get a better idea of Odin consciousness. And I remember this thought. And so I walked around with one eye shut. And I did a lap around this place. I did once with this eye and then once with this eye. But the first fucking time, it's hard to see, but we're gonna find it. It's in one of these trees over here, where I found Odin's face in the tree while I was coming around. I was walking around like this, and I went that way to come around this way. And the only way you could see it is if you come this way. And I'd never noticed it before until I had my one eye covered. And it's, how do I say it? It's a stretch. I know that, but, and it's cherry picking, but that's the point. You have to cherry pick when it comes to shit like this. Is this it? Yeah, here it is. All right, so it's like I said, it's gonna be a little hard to see, but right here, it used to be clearer, but if you look, there's like a circle, and then there's a dot, and then there's like a line right here. So it's almost like a smiley face, right? But now, and I know this wasn't the original intention for whoever put it here. It was probably to mark the tree for something. But when I'm walking around, covering my eye, trying to get into this mode of Odin consciousness, I see this thing. I see this circle, which represents a head, the one eye, and then a mouth. But then right here, where the other eye would be, fell off. And I'm walking by that thing like this, and I'm like, what the fuck? 'Cause it used to be, there's a picture of it on my Facebook page, back when it was still more legible, more easily seen. Because it used to be yellow, but then over the years it just kind of faded. But when I saw this guy's book, because I think I went Google, I forget the phrase that Blavatsky used. I forget the exact phrase that she used, and it's very early in the first chapter that she brings up this king consciousness, and there's a website that I use to get pirated ebooks, and I think what ended up happening was I either put the term in the search engine of that website or I did it on Google, and I saw Johnny Minaj's book, which is all about tapping into your inner king. And I started reading it, and it wasn't bad. It was pretty good. I only got like a couple chapters into it, but then I think he made a reference to King David. And even if he didn't make a reference to King David, you put it in my head. Why am I learning how to be a king from some fucking schlep, some goy, when we have Proverbs? Not Proverbs, we have Psalms. And at that point, I don't think I had ever read Psalms before. So, like I said, there's in Chabad, we have a monthly study cycle for Psalms, and it's daily portions over the course from new moon to new moon. So the new moon is the beginning of the month, and that's when the Psalm cycle begins, and then it ends the day before the final day of the month. So the Jewish months are either 29 or 30 days long. So either for 29 straight days you're doing the cycle, or you're doing for 30 days. It depends. I think it's like it fluctuates, but predominantly it's like this month's 29 days, this month's 30 days, this month's 29 days, this month's 30 days. Sometimes you'll get 2 29 days, or sometimes 2 30 days in a row. But that's when it's on. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Why don't I just study literally from the king himself? Because Psalms is his journal. And so that's what I did. And then once I completed Psalms for the first time, I think I did two Psalm cycles before I went, wait, Proverbs is King Solomon. Why aren't I jumping to King Solomon next? Solomon's David's son. Not to mention the importance of Solomon with relation to Rabbi Jesus, Yeshua Rabbeinu. And so I developed my own Psalm cycle. It's only good with the Jewish calendar because it follows the moon cycle. This is 4 fucking times I've seen this chick. So the idea is, because Proverbs it's short. It's only 31 chapters long. So we can settle with doing 1 proverb a day. There's 2 days. If it's a 29-day month, so the way I usually work it is, if it's a 29-day month, there's 31 proverbs. So on the new moon, on the first day of the month, we'll do 2 proverbs, and then on the last day of the month, we'll do 2 proverbs. But if it's a 30-day month, then we just do 2 proverbs on the full moon. And that's it. And the purpose of studying them is to recognize and empathize and to tap into that aspect within yourself. Now, I'm not saying everyone's got Solomon in them. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But I know that once, that's what I was saying before, is like, Christ consciousness, what are you talking about? In order to understand Christ consciousness, you have to understand David consciousness, you have to understand Solomon consciousness, you need to understand Torah consciousness, because I had never read the New Testament up until last year. Last December was the first time I started reading it, and I read through Matthew. I think I read up to John, whatever the fourth book is. Or no, I got into Acts. I got a little bit into Acts, and then I put it down because it's just like, all right, I got other shit I gotta do. But having primed myself with studying Solomon the way I did, I was able to recognize in the way that Rabbi Jesus was speaking, I was able to recognize the qualities of Solomon that were coming out of him. So whoever wrote those books, they were incredibly learned, not just in Torah. If we want to argue, like, we don't know if that was even historically accurate. Okay, well, whatever. But whoever the fuck wrote it was a Torah scholar, because they knew shit about Torah that you only know if you study Torah. Like, there's not just the references, but the essence, the nature of what this man was doing was literally the embodiment of Torah. So if you don't study Torah, then you're gonna miss a shit ton of the concealed nature of not just Rabbi Jesus' soul, but literally the work that he was doing and what he was actually trying to accomplish. Because I remember the first time I'm reading through it, and he didn't heal anyone. That's a whole other thing. He didn't heal anyone. I didn't do this. God did this for you. Go back. Don't tell anybody that I did this. Tell them that God helped you. Talk about humility. So one of the men that he says that to, he goes, go back to your temple. I think he might have healed a leper. Go back to the temple. Tell the priest what God did for you, and don't forget to give the offering that Moses told you to. What was the offering that Moses? A sin offering. Or a healing offering. I have to go back to Leviticus. But when it comes to healings, there's all the procedure for all healings is laid out in Torah. So when Yeshua Rabbeinu tells this man, go back to the temple and give the offering that Moses told you to, he's expecting the reader to know what he's talking about. Or at the very least, the author of the New Testament, authors of the New Testament, however you want to look at it, they're expecting the reader to be learned in Torah. Otherwise, you're not going to understand what the hell's happening. And you're going to see this man as a god. You're going to see him as something more than what he is. And he wasn't just a religious Jew. He was a Jew. Like back then, see, now here's the thing too. This is another thing. He was not religious. Not like the rabbis who were religious. The rabbis were the religious leaders. Like Rabbi Jesus was teaching that you don't need these guys. Which is why they didn't like him. Because he was taking the power away from the authorities. from the men, the experts in the law. That when the rabbis in the New Testament, when they're called the experts, it's not necessarily literally. These are the guys who think that they're experts. It's almost mocking them when it says the experts in the law. It's like an inside joke. If you get it, you get it. They're experts. We're not saying that they're not experts. It's just these are the guys that they're patting themselves on the back. Oh, I went to rabbi school. It's the same thing today. They don't. Hey, listen. I'm not saying that they overtly pat themselves on the back, but they pat each other on the back. And this was something that Flavius Josephus got into, and he criticized them about. I think it's in I believe it's in the introduction for the War of the Jews, where Flavius Josephus, he gives this breakdown about how this book is his account of what took place during the Roman wars between the Jews. Because I don't know if he was a general or an officer or what exactly he did, but he gets into in the introduction of how the events that took place vary depending on who's telling the story. And he specifically points out and calls out those guys who pat themselves on the back for being the experts and everything, including history. And if we look at if you look at this is just how I see it. I can't say that anybody else is going to see it, but when you read the New Testament, from my perspective, what you're seeing is a man who's standing up to the religious establishment, and the religious establishment going, "We got to get rid of this motherfucker bad," like yesterday. And listen, I'm no friend to Israel, by the way. I am Israel. The state of Israel is not not necessarily a geographical location as much as it is a spiritual state of being. But I also recognize Torah as my backstory. Where did I come from? Torah tells where did I come from? When I read Torah, God shows me where I came from. It shows me my ancestry. It shows me who my forefathers were, but most importantly, it shows me who He created me to be. So when I saw this lady this morning, this video this morning of this lady, the God King, women calling in the God King, and I know what they're looking for. They're trying to call in a Jesus-like man, a Jew. You're not going to find. Listen, ladies, you're not going to find a God King in the general population. This God King that you're looking for submits to God and God alone, and that's something that only a Jew can do. How do we know? How do we know that? Because where are the other ones? Where? And nothing against my Muslim brothers and sisters, but as far as I know, Islam doesn't teach doesn't practice Torah. It's not a new covenant. It's not nothing. There's nothing. You're not studying Torah. You're not behaving and improving yourself in the way that God told you to do it, then don't even worry about it. Just forget about it. Don't worry about it. You're just another fucking animal that hasn't learned how to walk upright. Which is the lessons of King David and King Solomon. Why would you want to learn how to be a king from some guy called Johnny Manaz? And I know what Manaz represents. The rune. And I know why it's important, but again, we're learning king from a schlup. If you're gonna learn from a king, if you're gonna learn how to be a king from a king, go right to the fucking source. Go to King David, go to King Solomon, the two fucking greatest kings in Israelite history. Because you'll see exactly what a king is made out of. Not saying that they were infallible, but that's the point. And this was a lesson of King David too. That you'll only get it if you read the Tanakh. But the value of studying the past, studying the failures of the past, is so that you can do better than those who came before you. Everybody wants the keys to success. The keys to success? You want the keys to success? Start studying failures. There's a really good book. It's called The Book of Mistakes. That's a good one. Yeah, King David made mistakes, King Solomon made mistakes, but that's the point. They made mistakes so that the future generations can learn their mistakes and do better than. Which is the point, which is the purpose, the function of King Mashiach. The actual God King, lowercase g. I say God King, but I'm talking about this fucking broad again. It's almost creepy. Well, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth time we bumped into each other. Well, ran past each other. Well, one of us is looking for the other one. That's for goddamn sure. And tell me, is she not taking a break this whole time? Or are you using me as a distraction for her? Because I'll give her credit that she has not once stopped or said hello over the 5 times that we ran past each other or walked past. Well, she's running, I'm walking, jogging. She's jogging, I'm walking. It's kind of rude, but it's okay. I'm not really offended by that. I don't really want to talk to her. So when we're saying God King, it's lowercase g. Because a real God King bows down to the king. And that's another thing. I don't refer to God as the king of the universe or the master of the universe. When people say, when Jews or anybody else is called God the master of the universe, I think that they're downplaying you. I say supreme grand master. The supreme grand master of the master of masters. And not the king of the universe, the emperor of the universe, the supreme emperor of emperors. So back then, when I was trying to understand this king consciousness, what ended up happening was I went looking into what's I'm trying to think of the right word, the hierarchical social hierarchies. Whoa. The social hierarchies of aristocracies. And I wanted to see, who does the king bow down to? And there's an answer for that. if you Google it, it gives you a chart, a hierarchical chart, where the king sits at the top of the pyramid. Well, he doesn't sit at the top of the pyramid. The king does not sit at the top of the pyramid. And this is the Western diagram. So according to the Western hierarchy, the Pope is higher than the king. But because the king only bows to God and to the Pope only bows to God. Now, if we jump over to the Eastern hierarchy, dynastic hierarchy, then we see that there's no Pope. The Pope is replaced by the Emperor. And underneath the Emperor are the kings. And above the Emperor is God, because the Emperor is recognized as the Son of God. Which means there are none higher. Which is relative to me, because there is none higher than me but God. So ladies, maybe maybe a God Emperor is what you'll find. I don't think you're going to. Or a God King is what you'll find. I doubt it. It's not impossible. But what you really want is a God Emperor. Who has all the qualities of the God King plus. But then that would mean that they, I don't know. I don't know if there's even a woman that can match that. Hashem, is there? Right, so the Supreme Emperor of Emperors, my Lord, Supreme Grand Master of the Universe, Supreme Grand Master of the Master of Masters, is there, only an hour 47, is there a female equivalency to a God Emperor, lowercase g? Because my intention isn't to be a God King, it's to be a God Emperor. Lowercase j. Ultra unorthodox man witch Jew supreme. I know you know you know what I'm talking about. That's why I want to get deeper into Dune, because I want to see what Leto does and how to embody that without having to turn it to a fucking half human, half Shai Hulud hybrid. What am I thinking? Well, my mind's going back to this dollar that we found yesterday that just happened to be enough. Fuck. That, my lord, that was fucking awesome. Because when I found that dollar, I remember thinking this is gonna come in handy. And I didn't expect it to come in handy so quick. And I was thinking about all the possible things we could do with that dollar. But then while writing this morning about the nature of the soul with Rabbi Zalman, is when you put it in my head to go to the bank and check my bank account. and that dollar was going to be just enough to cover that dollar was going to be just enough to cover a pack of cigarettes, which it was. Because when I saw the balance of $2.50, $2.58, by the way. So there's only 8 cents in my bank account now. Which, and then going back to my previous logic that my brother and I discussed recently, again, is my 8 cents in the bank makes me richer than the majority the majority of civilians, businesses, and governments in the world. I might actually be the richest man in the world because of 8 cents. Because I have 0 debts. Well, 0 debts that I recognize. And I had a feeling this was going to happen. And you know what? There was doubt, but I believed enough to go check, and I think that was enough. Because when I first went to the bank, I found it. I knew it was really hard to believe that there was going to be more than $2 in there. But I went anyway. Because I had faith. I had more faith in you than I had in myself, and my counting skills, and my accounting abilities. Well, you know, here's another thing too, and this is coming to my mind, is that God is the soul of the Jew. And listen, I know I'm saying the Jew, but that's because we have the means of which to recognize that. If it was up to all you anti-Semitic cunts in the world, well, obviously you didn't read Torah, because if you read Torah, then you know that you can't wipe out Jews. It's not possible. But what you can do, and this is demonstrated in the book of Deuteronomy, actually. No, it's demonstrated at the end of the book of Numbers. You can't wipe the Jews out, but you can give them. You can tickle their fancy by throwing in their face that which will make them transgress, that which they have a weakness towards, which is demonstrated in Numbers when Balak, the king of Moab, sends all of his whores out among the nation, and those men who could be corrupted by women became corrupted by women, which led to a mess. I don't want to say genocide, but I think only about 20,000 Jews got killed that day. But they were killed by their own people. Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the high priest at the time. He saw how the Israelites were taking these Moab women as their wives. So he led a battalion of Jews who took up their spears and started killing their brothers. But that was the point. They had to be wiped out. Because you can't let those who can be corrupted must be allowed to be corrupted, so that they kind of, not that they wipe themselves out, but we can't move on to the next phase of God's plan when you have people who aren't capable of participating. So you'll use our own weaknesses against us, which is what I wanted to do with this video, was exploit my own weaknesses. Which is what we've been doing this week. The week of Hod, because humility is my weakness, my pride.